All right, so this is my sketch. I have found my references that kind of show the direction I need for the different parts of my sketch. I can always find more references if they are needed. So now I do the most important video of this whole playlist to understand, and I need to set up the right pixel dimensions for my final project, right? Just like we did with our landscape sketch. So this is my sketch. It's orange for putting online. Now I'm going to open that with Photoshop. So this can be the photo of the sketch I got from my phone. So I've brought it in. The first thing I do is I use the move tool and the rulers to frame it, just like we did with your landscape sketch, so I can understand the size of my actual creature design, the height and width. Some of yours will be taller than they are wide. Mine is wider than it is tall. I use those guides because I always use the guides first before I use the crop tool. In order to see that size, I got to crop it to the size of my creature. Now for the landscape, I use the metaphor of collage and collaging on a desk and of a puzzle, right? For this project, because we're making something that's meant to move and meant to be animated, I'm using the metaphor of building a car on a factory floor. So let's pretend we're Ferrari, and Ferrari is famous for hand building all of its engines, right? And they build the engine first, and then other parts go around the car to support the engine. But Ferrari's very fancy, very expensive, right? So let's say you're building this car, you have the blueprint, the design for it, here it is. You put that in the middle of the factory at full size. And I went to a design school that had a whole automotive design department. And one stage of automotive design is they actually draw the car on a wall at full scale. They do it with tape. So that's what this is. This is a design of the car at full scale, but it's in the middle of the factory, and it's up on a platform. That's where the finished car is going to be shown. So it's like a stage. So what I did with my guides is I framed the stage and then I cropped down to it. Now I need to make that stage big enough that it shows up at full size. So I go to image size. This is to make it print quality. And no matter how good your camera is, right, it's going to be at screen resolution, which is not big enough for printing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first just check it, though I know it's too small, by unchecking resample and see what this would look like at our studio resolution, 350 pixels per inch. And at 350 pixels per inch, this thing's only 2 inches by 1.5 inches. So then I have to click resample. So I have to change the pixels. And I'm going to make it larger than 8 by 10. So if I put in 10 there, it's only 6.8, so that's not larger than 8 by 10. So I'm just going to go ahead and overshoot it a little bit. I'm going to make it 9 by 13 by 350 pixels per inch. Then I say OK. What that did is it really, really invented more pixels. And it makes my sketch a lot blurrier because it just increased from 1 inch to 9 inches at this resolution. Next, I can shrink down a little bit. I've got my guides framing it. Now I got to build the factory around the stage. So I go to image canvas size, and I'm going to grow the factory floor to be 40 inches wide, 30 inches tall, just like we did for our landscape. This is not for the finished project. This is for working space to build the parts of the finished project. All right, now it gave me a checkerboard, and that checkerboard's really hard on my eyes, and I want this to be a productive factory. So I'm going to fill that empty space using the paint bucket tool, and I'm going to fill it with middle gray, and then just dump it in. All right, that's a lot easier on the eyes. Now I can start bringing in my parts to the factory floor. So I go to my reference folder in assignment 2, the things I've downloaded from Pixabay, and I want to go to my hero reference. What's the thing I'm most excited about using? Like, what toucan head is it that's going to make this all work out? Or what toucan beak? I'm actually really liking this one because it's not the typical toucan beak. So that's going to be my hero head. It's in the right direction. I just need to tilt it, right? Like that. You can see how it's kind of tilting towards me a little bit. You can see where that eye is. But it's way too big. So what can I do? I can immediately hit Command T and shrink it. But I don't need to fit it onto the stage quite yet, so I'll keep it a little bit bigger than it needs to be. Tilt it a little bit. And then hit return. And then what part of this do I actually want? I don't want the body. I want the head and maybe a little bit of that neck. So I'm going to use my lasso and I'm going to rough cut around with lots of overlap the head and neck of this creature. And I can even grow it. And I can even cut away from it. Hold down Shift to add to your selection with the lasso. Hold down Option to subtract from it. So if I want to add, I hold down Shift. There's a little plus sign that appears next to the lasso. I can add to it. If I want to subtract to it, I hold down Option and I can trim it away. And then I'm going to hit duplicate. What's the shortcut for duplicate? Command J. And I'm on the smart object here. So when I hit Command J, it will make a new layer that's rasterized, and I turn off the smart object behind. And I have kind of a rough cutout of the first thing I want to use. Now, what's the next thing? Maybe the eye I want to use. So let's see, I've got two cool eyes. I've got the owl, and I've got this dog eye. Now I'm really into this dog eye. Look at that thing. So nothing else in that photograph is useful because it's all out of focus, but that eye is really cool. So I'm going to bring that in. It's going to be bigger than I need for the eye, but I can immediately right-click before I place it, and I can flip it, right? I can rotate it. I can even hold down Shift and change its shape a little bit. Organic things are very flexible this way. And then what part do I actually want? I want the eye and all this kind of overlapping musculature. Always take more than you need. Then Command J, then turn off the smart object. And that eye is way too big for that head, so I'm going to hit Command T, and I'm going to shrink it down and rough place it. Such a big, beautiful eye. And then I might realize, well, I don't need all that musculature. I'll just save kind of the eyelid parts. And so to trim it, I've just selected around what I want. I don't need to make another duplicate. I can say select inverse and then delete. Okay, what's next? The fish. The thing at the top, and the open mouth. So I found this peacock, right, with its open mouth. I also found this golden eagle at this open mouth. And though I like the golden eagle is not at the right angle. You see how we're not looking inside the mouth. It's not angled towards us. So the peacock is the winner there. Because remember, we're going off of our sketch and we're going off of our hero reference. And we let that kind of define what we do next. The peacock's already about the right size for that lower jaw. But I'm going to grab more than I need. So maybe even this little kind of feather at the top and part of this neck Heck, I can just grab all of it. Duplicate it. Turn off the smart object. But because this is behind this, I'm going to move it below and then push it out. So this is what I'm going to recommend to you, that you make your creature, the creature's head, you make it first. It's like the engine of your creature design. The head is always going to be the focal point. So Ferrari starts by hand building the engine. You're going to start by hand building the head. And let's keep it simple to begin with. Let's try to make the head really effective from just 3 sources. So I've got 3 sources now. How can I clean this up? Well, first of all, I can move the smart objects out of the way. I can move those down so that all the layers that are showing are at the top. This one, and this one. I can stack them in the right order. And now I'm going to start trimming them up. So, first of all, I need to trim my toucan around the beak so I can see how that lower jaw is going to work with that beak. And just like we did with our landscape, we choose the best way to select. I'm going to try the magic wand with contiguous turned on at a tolerance of 32. And even 32 is too big because that yellow is very similar to the background. So let me try 12. 12 looks pretty good. I'm going to hold down Shift to add to it and add these pixels. Try to add these pixels. And I'm not going to do select and mask to it. I'm just going to cut it out nice and clean. All this background. All right. I'll zoom in and show you what that looks like, because there's little debris that might be missing. Little things like that. So seeing that, I actually might want to do select and mask. This is for feathering a magic wand selection, right? I can set it to remember my settings. And I'm going to turn smooth down, feather up a little bit, like around 2 pixels, radius of around 3 pixels, and shift edge of about 30%. Because this is a very fine selection, right? And now that kind of evened it out a little bit. And now when I hit delete, it will bite away at it. If I hit delete again, it will keep biting away at it, right? So I'm going to go back to about, whoops, I went too far back. Let me do it again. Select and mask. So that's cutting out without select and mask. You see how clunky it is. So before I hit delete, I magic wand it. Now I go to select and mask. Come on. Give me the tools. There we go. So I've magic wand it. Now I do select and mask. It remembers my settings. Then I hit OK. It changes the selection and expands it a little bit and softens it. And now I hit delete and I get a better kind of cutout. And it reveals a little bit more of that lower jaw. Then I'm also going to do this black part. But if I do that black part, even at just a magic wand of 12, it's getting all this shadow. So I'm just going to move to the lasso. And the lasso, I'm going to use a 1 pixel feather. I'm going to use my tablet and my stylus so I can draw a little bit more intuitively. I'm going to find that edge and just run along it and then delete. Right? And now I'm going to go to the peacock layer and try to figure out what I want from it.